So chapter 4 and exercise 4a, find the midpoint of a line. Okay. This is coordinate geometry, so it's the midpoint of a line joining two coordinates. Alright, so let's just call those two coordinates x1, y1 next to y2, like we did in C1 with gradients. And the midpoint is the point on the line that is right in the middle of those two coordinates. Okay, before we go any further, let's think of midpoints between numbers and how you can do that quite nice and quickly. So 9 and 11, so what's the midpoint going to be? Right, 10, now that one's quite easy. Okay, well done. Right, now that one is really easy, so let's try something a bit more taxing. Midpoint between 3 and 21. Go, can you work that one out? Ooh. Did you get the answer 12? So far, they've all been quite easy, so let's try something harder. How about the midpoint between 41 and 93? I'll give you about 10 seconds to see if you can answer that, if you don't rewind the video back or pause. So have you got anything yet? You might remember something from when you were younger, an easy way to find the midpoint between two numbers. So try to think. If you remember, the easiest way to find the midpoint between the two numbers, let's start with 9 and 11 because we know that answer is nice and easy, is just simply to add them together and divide by 2. Simple. So that gives you 20 divided by 2, which is 10. Okay, so I've deliberately use those numbers because that's easy to see that works. Okay. Let's try the next one we did. The other one was 3 and 21. So 3 plus 21 divided by 2 plus 24 over 2, which is 12, which is the answer we had before. Okay. So if we've got more challenging ones to work with, like 41 and 93, all you have to do is do 41 plus 93 divided by 2, stick it into your calculator, and you get an answer of 67. Okay, so we go back now to our original topic, which is finding the midpoint between two coordinates. So if you've got 2, 3, and 10, 15. Okay, so to find out midpoint, we want to find the midpoint between the x values and the midpoint between the y coordinates. Okay, so our midpoint on the x coordinates is just going to be 2 plus 10 divided by 2, which is equal to 6. Okay, and for the y coordinates, it's going to be 3 plus 15 over 2, which is going to be equal to 9. Okay, so our coordinate of our midpoint would be 6, 9. Okay, couldn't be simpler. Alright, now if we like a little formula or a rule for that, if we go back to algebra and call the one coordinate x1, y1 and the other one x2, y2, then our midpoint, we can make a sort of formula for it. So midpoint M is there. So M would be, we add the x coordinates and divided by 2. So x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then we do the same with the y coordinates. y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay? And that is the rule or formula for finding the midpoint between two coordinates. Right, so let's do an example now then with some awkward numbers. So let's use some surds. So we'll find the midpoint between 4 root 2 and minus 4 3 root 2. Okay, so again just use our midpoint formula. So if we add the x values together, that's going to be 4 plus negative 4 all over 2. Y coordinates is going to be root 2 plus 3 root 2 all over 2. Okay, just shrink that all up there, it gives a bit more room. So if we just start simplifying that now then, well obviously 4 plus minus 4 is just 0 divided by 2. And then root 2 plus 3 root 2 is going to be 4 root 2 over 2. Okay, that 0 over 2 is just going to be 0, obviously. Now remember, that 2 there is a part of the third, so we don't simplify that, okay? We can simplify the 4 and the 2, though. The numerator is a part of the denominator bit. So our midpoint would be 0 and 2 root 2. Alright, so on to an awkward worded question then. So line AB is the diameter of a circle, where A and B are minus 3, 8 and 5, 4 respectively. Find the coordinates of the centre of the circle. So let's just start with a quick sketch. So coordinate A is going to be there, minus 3, 8. And B, 5, 4 is going to be roughly in that position. Look at the numbers. Join that up, we know it's a diameter. Our midpoint is going to be the centre of the circle. So basically this is just another way of asking us to find the midpoint of two coordinates. Okay, which is the centre of the circle. Alright, now on all of the work you're going to do in this chapter, a sketch of represents a worded question makes your work a lot easier. So get into the habit now of doing a little sketch. So our centre is just going to be, we have the x coordinates, minus 3 plus 5 over 2, and the y coordinates, 8 plus 4 over 2, and then just simply calculate that. So that's going to be 2 over 2 and 12 over 2. So therefore our centre is just going to be 1, 6. Okay. Put that there. Finished. So let's finish off then with a slightly more challenging worded question. So we've got the line PQ is the diameter of a circle with centre 2, minus 2. Given that P is 8, minus 5, find the coordinates of Q. Let's put P there, 8 minus 5, and the centre 2 minus 2 there. Okay, so therefore Q is going to be that other side of the circle. Okay, so we know that's the centre, but it was the midpoint, more importantly. Okay, it just makes it a little bit easier to work out what we're going to have to do. So let Q equal xy, because we want to work out that coordinate. Alright, and then again just use that midpoint calculation. Okay, just take that up there, that's our sketch. Okay, so we know then that x plus 8 divided by 2 and y plus minus 5, so y minus 5 divided by 2 is going to be the midpoint, which is 2 minus 2. That's just going to give us two simple equations to solve to work out what x and y are, which will then tell us what q is. So we know x plus 8 divided by 2 must be equal to 2. That's going to be x plus 8 is equal to 4, so therefore x is equal to minus 4. And then if we do the same with the y's, so we've got y minus 5 over 2 is equal to the y coordinate is minus 2. So that's y minus 5 equals minus 4. That gives us y equals 1. Okay, so therefore we now know that the coordinates of q is going to be minus 4, 1. And you can check that back to your sketch to see if it makes sense.